Let's do story time. Let's talk about how I went from homeless to six figures. It's not that exciting of a story. So I was homeless due to a relationship that I was in that turned violent. I ended up going to a domestic violence shelter. And then while I was in that shelter, my father passed. I was able to come out of the shelter to go to my father's funeral, but because there was issues amongst the family, I had to go back to the shelter. So then when my dad passed, there was an insurance check, and I was able to get out of the shelter with that insurance check. But because of my own poor financial decisions, I ended up being homeless again. I ended up living in basically a squatter house. People robbed it clean. I'm talking robbed everything out of it. And to this day, I don't know if it's people that I knew personally or if it was strangers that just saw me move in and took the opportunity to take all my stuff. And I'm talking everything from pipes, toilet seats, the door, light bulbs, everything. So then after moving around a bit, I finally moved in with a friend of mine. Shout out to Vicky. I lived with her for a couple of months while I braided hair. Then I was able to move into my own studio apartment on the south side of Chicago in South Shore. While I was braiding hair, I was taking photos of my clients and I was putting it on Tumblr. And then I was putting my ads on Craigslist. So I was literally putting my work out there for a hair braider, and I was putting my work out there for a photographer because somebody suggested I become a photographer. Then on Craigslist, I saw an ad for Icy Stars and I went to go apply and I got into the program. The program was extremely intense. It was 4 months, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You get a stipend every week to participate in the program, but you basically fast forwarded into the career of technology. I didn't think that tech was for me. I was still in the mindset of, I'm just going to graduate for this program and start my own business or something. I really wasn't thinking about going into corporate. But then by the time I graduated the program, my friend convinced me to apply for some of the jobs. So I did. And I got into an internship for a consultant agency, and my income bumped up from $12,000 a year to about $58,000 a year. Then I stayed at that company for about 4 years. And I left that company as a senior QA, and I was making about $83,000 a year. Then from there, I did my freelancing thing under my business, and I worked with a few mentors, and my projects that I was working on ranged from $250 to about $10,000 for a project when I was building out websites on WordPress. So then someone reached out to me and they offered me a marketing operations job, which I took, and I was making on average about $2,000 to $3,000 a month. I can't calculate how much that is per year, but it was enough for me to pay my bills. Then towards the end of that job, someone else reached out to me and they offered me a job where they were paying literally $192 per hour. It was the most I've ever made as a QA. And I did that for about maybe close to a year, and then that startup shut down. So then after that, someone else reached out to me, and I applied for another job as a QA, and that job I was able to negotiate a salary of $103,000 a year. And now I'm back to running my business full time, and we will see what number comes up next for me.